Hello and welcome to the City Business Edition. This program airs on the City Breakfast Show every Friday after the City Business News and is brought to you by Carl Bank, Bank on Our Service, and Airtel, my paddies, my network. My name is Bernard Avle. This morning we're very privileged to have with us an international management development trainer, writer, speaker, globalist, and people expert. Our guest is one of the leading non-academic global training and management development consultants and has worked in an advisory capacity for all kinds of global organizations, including Rolls-Royce UK, HSBC, Vodafone, Coca-Cola, Cyprus Popular Bank, Unibank Ghana Limited, CFAO Ghana, National Health Service UK, and the like. Michael A. Porter is my guest, who is going to help us appreciate some leadership lessons from the big European four. For listeners of the City Business Edition, I'm sure you recall a similar interview a few months ago where we looked at the big four in England. But this morning, we're looking at the big four in Europe. Michael, thanks for joining us on the City Business Edition. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. Good morning, listeners here in Ghana. Ghana, it's nice to be back.
I always start with this question. Why should football clubs be an analogy for lessons in leadership? Because you're a leadership coach and you teach human resource.
Yeah. Well, I think using a sports team, whether it be a football team, a rugby team, a cricket team, or whatever, is a good analogy because at the end of the day, it's the way these teams are managed by the person at the top that really counts. You know, a manager these days needs to have coaching and mentoring and needs to have observation and needs to be able to motivate a group of players, whether it's in the office, on the factory floor, or on the sports pitch, to be able to achieve their ultimate goal, whatever that might be.
Interesting. So, who are the big European four?
Well, the big four that I'd like to look at, Bernard, are Real Madrid. That's the first one. Mm-hmm. A huge team. Followed by AC Milan,
okay.
One of the top Italian teams. Mm-hmm. Followed very closely by Bayern Munich, and coming up at the end with another large team, Barcelona.
So wow, that's like a tasty Champions League semi-final. So let's run through quickly. Real Madrid, what is it about Real Madrid that we need to know?
Well, if you look at the club, Real Madrid, it was founded as far back as 1902. And it's one of only 3 clubs never to have been relegated from the Spanish top flight. So clearly that club has been managed very well. It's had leaders at the top. The word Real is Spanish for royal and was bestowed to the club by King Alfonso VIII in 1920, together with the royal crown in the emblem. The team has played its home matches in the 85,500 capacity Santiago Bernabéu Stadium in downtown Madrid since 1947, when the stadium was erected. Real Madrid hold possibly the fiercest rivalry in world sport, El Clásico, with their domestic counterparts, FC Barcelona.
Let's talk about the brand Real Madrid. How valuable is this brand and what are its elements?
Well, the brand speaks for itself. With an estimated 290 million followers, Real Madrid is possibly the biggest brand in world sport. Combined following of nearly 50 million on Facebook and Twitter alone. In January 2013, it was announced that Real Madrid had become the first sports club to earn a revenue in excess of 500 million euros during a single year in their 2011-2012 season. A large amount of money. In 2013, Madrid announced a new 5-year sports shirt sponsorship package with Emirates, worth nearly 40 million euros a year, that will run until the end of 2017-18 season.
So what's the leadership structure of Real Madrid like?
Yeah. Well, Real Madrid, unlike other clubs, Real Madrid is not a limited company. So if we look behind the scenes now at what goes on there, so it is not possible to purchase shares in the club,
really?
Unlike a lot of other clubs.
Okay.
Yeah. But only membership. These members are then referred to as socios.
Ooh.
Yeah. So under legislation passed by the Spanish government in 1990, Madrid were not obliged to reconstitute themselves as a PLC and could continue to be owned by their members. The socios then appoint a president via election.
Ooh. This
president must hold a certain amount of personal wealth, in order to run for presidency. In 2009, this was 58.5 million euros guaranteed by Florentino Perez, the current president. It was under Florentino Perez's first presidency in 2000-2006 that Real Madrid started its ambition of becoming the world's richest professional football club. Little would hinder the pursuit of this goal, including lots of legal wrangles, expensive players, and the appointment of controversial manager, one Jose Mourinho, who is also well known for employing a win-at-all-cost attitude.
So what is Real Madrid's vision?
Well, the vision, is very important. If we look at the vision and values of any organisation, it tells us, what the organisation is all about. Well, number one, Real Madrid said they want to be the best football club in the world.
Okay.
Number two, feed and project the Real Madrid brand in the world across multiple channels was number two. And number three, give financial flexibility to acquire talents from all over the world.
You mentioned that the word Real meant royal. Tell me a bit more about the connection between Real Madrid and the royal, the crown in Spain.
That's a good question. Real Madrid have been the subject of much debate in recent years, as they are looked upon favourably by the state. First, there was a perceived bailout in 2013, as seen in The Independent in 2013, and now the ongoing investigation into its illegal state aid. So in the late 90s, Real Madrid and Madrid City Council agreed on the sale of land used as Real Madrid's training ground with the football club to be recompensed half in money and half in land. In 2011, it was realised that some of the land given to Real Madrid, known as Las Tablas, valued at €421,000 in 1998, was owned by the public and therefore couldn't be given to Real Madrid. The council then revalued the land at €22.7 million, at 5,400% rise, and agreed to pay the club that figure in compensation. The €22.7 million was then waived by the club in return for planning permission to build a roof, as well as the land to build the hotel complex and shopping centre.
You mentioned that Florentino Perez was the man famously noted for bringing in the Galacticos.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about that and whether that's still the way that the team goes about with its player recruitment.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. Florentino Perez was responsible for the first Galactico era, which was considered to be synonymous with the presidency of himself. And this happened between the years 2000 to 2007. Some of the players that sort of came to Real Madrid during this time were Luis Figo, £38.7 million from Barcelona. In £2,000 they signed him. Zinedine Zidane, £46 million from Juventus in 2001, where they signed him. Ronaldo, $30 million signing from Internazionale.
This is the original Brazilian.
This is the Brazilian Ronaldo.
Ronaldo Luis de Nazario.
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you're good at remembering names, Bernard. Yes. Not to be confused with
Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay.
And David Beckham, £25 million signing from Manchester United in 2003. Four of the Galacticos, as they were known.
It would seem as if the Galactico era is back because they have Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the like.
Well, I think you're quite right. In September 2013, just last year, Real Madrid continued their historical spending pattern by making Gareth Bale the most expensive transfer in football history, paying €85.3 million or 100 million £85.3 million or 100 million euros to Tottenham Hotspur for the Welshman's services. He had previously cost Tottenham only £7 million in 2007 when they signed him from Southampton. Look at the profitability on that. Nearly it's 77 million pound made on the deal.
And of course, this eclipsed the transfer fee for Ronaldo himself, the new Ronaldo, who himself was bought for quite a high price.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a bit about the leadership of the club. Who's the coach, and we'll talk about the club's value as a business as well.
Okay. Well, Carlo Ancelotti, Carlo's been around in his time, as a manager. He's popped up at many top clubs, but he's currently at Real Madrid. And he's able to bring a more stable approach to personnel decisions than his predecessor, Jose Mourinho, many would argue. His first task was to bring the players together and develop unity within the team. Ancelotti is unlikely to play the same type of mind games that Jose was fond of, and he appears far more focused on the footballing capabilities of his squad. One of his comments were, "Talent, not history, will reign supreme," according to Carlo Ancelotti. Building for the future. While past managers have ushered in waves of established players, Ancelotti's new members are rising stars. Bale, Isco, Illarramendi and Carvajal, all players coming under his watch. Revisiting lost talent, despite the addition of numerous youngsters, Carlo Ancelotti has not forgotten about the veterans in his new squad, like Luka Modric and Casillas. So
You spoke about the brand in the past. Let's talk about the financial value of Real Madrid.
Well, the financial value of Real Madrid is quite astonishing. And this breakdown, the value, according to Forbes 2013, was 2.6 billion euros. 2.6 billion. The revenue that came in last year for Real Madrid was an astonishing 512.5 million euros came through into the club. The debt of the club is somewhere around 130 million euros. Again, that was according to Forbes in last year's survey. And the profit for last year was 36.9, nearly $37 million.
So a revenue of almost €500 million, or a bit over €500 million.
Yes. Yes.
Where is this revenue coming from?
Yeah. Well, the revenue it's quite interesting. Last season, 2012-2013, matchday revenue accounted for 119 million euros, which was 41% of overall revenue. Broadcasting, TV rights, accounted for 36% of revenue, 188.3 million euros, and commercial accounted for 23% of the revenue, some 211 euros. So that's where the money comes from.
In terms of its touch points, how, for example, how pronounced is Real Madrid's social media following and its match day attendance and that kind of thing?
Well, you know, social media plays a big part in any business these days. And, you know, if we look at Twitter, they have nearly 10 million followers on Twitter. Astonishing number. Facebook likes for Real Madrid, nearly 50 million.
Wow.
Facebook likes. The average league match attendance for last season was over 65,000 for every game. Amazing. Bringing in a tremendous amount of money. And in terms, if we look at what they've won over the last few years, the achievements, 9 European Cups, the most recent was in 2002, 32 league titles, the most recent 2012, 18 domestic cups, most recent 2011. So they're also third in the UEFA coefficient ranking system, which is a relatively new system.
This is the City Business Edition, special edition looking at the business of global football, looking at the big four in Europe. Our guest is Michael A. Porter, who is an international management development trainer, writer, speaker, and people expert. So Real Madrid is a big club. We'll come to comparison of the top four later in the program. But you said your second of the big four was AC Milan.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about this club.
Well, AC Milan, again, a lot of history with this club. This club was even founded earlier than Real Madrid. It was founded in 1899. The Associazione Calcio Milan are the most successful team in world. That's what AC
Milan
AC
stands for Associazione Calcio Milan.
Yeah, AC Milan. I always wondered myself what it stood for.
Okay.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Bernard. They're the most successful team in world football in terms of international trophies.
Okay.
Along with Boca Juniors, with 18 officially recognised UEFA and FIFA titles. So, a lot of success at this club. Milan play their home games at the 80,000 capacity Stadio Giuseppe Meazza.
Yes.
Excuse my pronunciation. More commonly referred to as the San Siro. It shares with biggest rivals FC Internazionale Milano. So they actually share this stadium.
Exactly. Yeah.
Matches between these two are called Derby della Madonnina.
Interesting. Yeah. So let's talk about the brand, the AC Milan brand. What are the elements of this brand?
Well, the brand, you know, very, very interesting. Again, like Real Madrid. Milan are the third most supported team in Italy and the 7th most supported team in Europe, ahead of any other Italian team. Combined following of 17.2 million on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
A huge following. In 2010, AC Milan announced a 4-year shirt sponsorship deal with Emirates worth 60 million euros a year. Emirates, of course, sponsor Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
In 2013, AC Milan announced a new 10-year kit manufacturing contract with Adidas,
I see.
worth a reported 20 million euros a year, making it the largest kit contract in Italian football.
What about the leadership of the club?
Well, the leadership, interestingly enough, Milan is a subsidiary of an organisation called Fininvest Group since 1986. The office of the club president has been vacant since 8th of May 2008, which appears to be a long time, following a new Italian law that forbids the country's Prime Minister, Silvio Berlusconi, to have other managing roles in private companies or clubs. The vice president and CEO of the company is Adriano Galliani. So effectively, Mr. Galliani is running the club. Milan like to appoint their leadership on a long-term basis, giving their managers time to bear fruit, and like many Italians, they like to keep it in the family while pursuing a mainly defensive brand of football, a little bit like Manchester United and Arsenal. Yeah. This is evident in their appointments of fellow Italians: Fabio Capello from 1996 to 1991 to 96, Carlo Ancelotti 2001 to 2009, and current manager Massimo.
Of course, he's been replaced. Allegri has been replaced by Clarence Seedorf. This is like a couple of weeks ago.
So so even he's gone now.
Yes.
There's a new manager at the helm.
Yeah.
There were also 5 Milan players who featured in Italy's World Cup winning squad of 2006. These players included Gattuso, Gilardino, Nesta, Inzaghi and Pirlo. Despite this perceived interest in sustainability, the AC Milan group has had negative equity at the end of each fiscal year since 2006, reflecting historically poor Italian financial management, or mismanagement, whatever you want to call it.
So what is the club's vision then?
Well, the vision is quite interesting. Number one, to always make Milan capable of aspiring to win titles every year is the first one. Number two, the Milan of the future will be based on young people, young talents, and will lead to a healthy financial state and success.
Okay.
And the final one, number three, the objective is to make sure that the players' wages don't exceed 50% of our total revenue. Last season it was at 70%.
No wonder they sold Kevin Prince Boateng to Schalke 04, but that's a side issue. Okay. Who are some of their key stars?
Well, one of the well-known stars is a player called Kaká. You may have heard of him. Mm-hmm. In 2007, Ricardo Isaacson dos Santos Leite, Kaká, won the UEFA Champions League with Milan, as well as a Ballon d'Or and the FIFA World Player of the Year award that same season. In June 2009, Milan sold their prized asset for a club record fee of 65 million euros to their rivals Real Madrid. This was also a world record in sterling, 56 million, although it was broken less than a month later by Cristiano Ronaldo's 80 million move to Madrid. Milan paid Sao Paulo FC 8.5 million euros for Kaká's services in 2003. So a huge return on investment.
Exactly.
After an uninspiring spell at Madrid, Kaká returned to AC Milan in 2013 on a free transfer, agreeing to a pay freeze throughout a prolonged injury period.
Let's talk about the club's finances. They don't seem to be as financially as strong as Real Madrid.
No, and the value of AC Milan is 745 million euros, which again is a substantial amount of money, but not on the same lines as Real Madrid. Revenue coming in 260 million euros in 2013. Debt, a small amount of debt compared with some other clubs, 37.25 million euros, which is a lot of money, but small in comparison with other clubs. Profit for 2012 was a loss. It was actually a loss of 6,857 million euros.
So this revenue of almost 260 million, where is it coming from?
Yeah. Well, the revenue, like Real Madrid, comes from mainly three areas. Match day receipts account for 37%, and that accounts to 26.4 million euros. Broadcasting is where AC Milan make most of their money. 53% of their income is generated through broadcasting, 140.9 million euros. And commercial accounts for a small 10%, 96.2 million. So
how strong are they in social media?
well, social media, they have 1.7 million followers on Twitter and nearly 20 million followers on Facebook. So again, not as big as Real Madrid, but a substantial following.
And I'm sure that the size of their stadium could also account for the match day attendance, which is lower than Real Madrid as well.
Yeah, because Real Madrid's stadium capacity is far higher than AC Milan. AC Milan come at 44,000, which limits the capacity that you can generate as revenue match day income. The Rossoneri, as they're known, have had a disappointing Serie A campaign thus far. Their form has left them languishing in mid-table and led to the sacking of coach Massimiliano Allegri that you alluded to earlier, Bernard.
This is the City Business Edition. We're talking the business of football, looking at the big four in Europe with Michael A. Porter. We'll be right back with a lot more. Don't go away. Welcome back to the City Business Edition. This morning we're talking to an international management development trainer, Michael Porter, who is taking us through one of his more exciting modules on the business of football. He has the big four in Europe. We're talking Real Madrid, AC Milan. We have two more teams to go through this morning. Bayern Munich apparently are your third in the top four. But before that, when you spoke about AC Milan, you did not talk about their ranking in terms of the achievements and their coefficient and that kind of thing.
Their coefficient ranking is 12th only.
Oh, okay. So they're not as strong in Europe as they used to be.
No, they're not.
Something obviously wrong there.
They're not.
All right. So let's look at Bayern Munich.
Well, if we start off with the achievements of Bayern Munich, 5 European Cups, the most recent being last year. 23 league titles, the most recent last year. 16 domestic cups, the most recent last year. They had a successful year last year. They won the treble. Owners are club members, president Uli Hoeneß, who was a former German international.
So it's a member-owned club.
Yeah, a member-owned club. Yeah. The manager, Pep Guardiola, some of you will remember him in charge of Barcelona. He's been there since 2013. Their UEFA coefficient ranking gives them second place overall.
Real Madrid was number 3.
Real Madrid was number 3. We'll have to wait and see who's number 1. Yeah. You can guess who might be number 1. So the club itself, Bernard, the club was founded in 1900.
Okay.
Fußball Club Bayern München. Yeah, I hope my German sounded right. Is the most successful club in German football history. Since the 2005-06 season, Bayern have played its home games at the 71,000 capacity Allianz Arena, a big ground. The team crest shows the white and blue flag of Bavaria. Yeah. Bayern's local rivals are FC Nuremberg, with whom they hold the Bavarian derby. However, Borussia Dortmund are now considered Munich's main rivals due to the recent fierce competition between the two, including going head-to-head in the 2013 Champions League final. You will remember that game.
How strong is the Bayern brand?
Well, the brand is very strong. Bayern is a membership-based club, as you said earlier, Bernard, with more than 200,000 members. A lot. It also has 3,200 officially registered fan clubs with 231,000 members.
Wow.
Combined following of 8 million followers on Facebook and Twitter. So it's a huge, huge undertaking. The sports club has other departments for chess, handball, basketball, gymnastics, bowling, table tennis, referees and senior football, with more than 1,100 active members who participate in these different sports.
Wow.
In 2013, Bayern secured a reported €30 million per season, 4-year extension with a long-term sponsor, Deutsche Telekom, which will see the telecoms company remain as the club's main shirt sponsor through to 2017.
So it's a membership-owned club. Let's talk about the leadership.
Yeah. Well, leadership. Bayern is run like a joint stock company whose stock are not listed on the public stock exchange, but is privately owned. Bayern is led mostly by former club players, interestingly. The club president is Uli Hoeneß. He has been in office formally as general manager of the club since 1979, a long time.
Wow.
Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, some of you who are my age might remember him, another class German international, is the chairman of the executive board of the AG. The supervisory board of 9 consists mostly of managers of big German corporations.
Interesting. What is the vision for the club?
Yeah. The vision for the club is, well, number one, maintain a sustainable foundation. Number two, develop young German talent.
Okay.
And number three, compete for trophies, which they're doing so with success.
And some of the personalities in there?
Some of the personalities, yeah. So, yeah, well, if you look at Pep Guardiola, for example, he's their manager. We will all remember him as manager of Barcelona as well. Mm-hmm. Pep Guardiola has a lot of attention to detail. That's his style. It's symptomatic of Guardiola's obsessive belief that his players prepare and play with geometric precision, demanding a drenched 17mm long grass before they go out onto the pitch.
Wow. He's
precision.
That obsessive.
Obsessive, yeah. Multifunctional is Guardiola as well. Guardiola prefers a small squad and players who are multifunctional.
Okay.
He also likes to innovate, moving defender Philip Lam, for example, to become his holding midfielder. He also has this view of team over individual. Guardiola has no fear in removing players that could possibly generate a negative team environment. He emphasises the minimum of leadership is the pair and does not believe in big players, El Capitanos, that are the only leader in the team.
So he wouldn't subscribe to a Galacticos type of thing as Real Madrid?
No, that's not his style. That's not his style.
Interesting. You said 2013 was a very interesting year for them.
Yeah. 2013, of course, they won the treble. On the 1st of June 2013, Bayern beat VfB Stuttgart 3-2 in the DFB Pokal final to become the first German club to compete the treble. The Pokal final being the German equivalent of the FA Cup. Completing the treble, joining other European heavyweights Manchester United, Barcelona, Internazionale, PSV, Ajax and Celtic, who are the other teams who have completed it as well. This coincided with breaking multiple other records during the 2012 season, including most points in a season, 91 points in a season. Highest league winning position margin, they won it by 25 points, and most wins in a season, 29, having the fewest goals conceded in a season, only 18 throughout the whole season.
Incredible.
All of this was achieved under the guidance of Jupp Heynckes, who was the former manager.
I see.
Yeah, another character there, Mario Götze, a player and a product of Borussia Dortmund's youth academy. First entering the club as an 8-year-old when he made his Bundesliga debut on 21st November 2009, before being promoted to the first team the following season. I don't think it's an 8-year-old. I think it's an 18-year-old. Sorry about that. They do play them young, but not that young. On the 23rd of April 2013, it was announced that Mario Götze would become the most expensive German footballer in history by switching from rivals Borussia Dortmund to Bayern Munich for 37 million euros. This figure was beaten last summer by Mesut Ozil in his move to Arsenal for 50 million euros.
Interesting. Let's talk about the club's finances.
Yeah, well, the breakdown of Bayern Munich is quite interesting. The value is over 1 billion euros. You know, a large valuation for that club. Revenue 368.5 million euros last year. Debt again 51.6 million euros. Not too bad, but still a considerable amount of money. Profit. Last 2012, 11 million euros.
I see. And what's the breakdown of this revenue profile?
Well, interesting. 55% of income from Bayern Munich comes through match day. 87.1 million euros, because they have a ground capacity of over 71,000.
Okay.
Broadcasting comes in at 25%, 107 million euros, and commercial 20% at 237 million euros.
I see. And you mentioned already they have quite a substantial social media following as well.
Yeah, they have nearly a million followers on Twitter and nearly 12 million followers on Facebook. So, you know, a large following. A large entity.
All right, let's finally talk about so who's the final team in this your big four in Europe?
Well, I'm wondering if the listeners could guess who it might be. Is it Liverpool?
No.
Is it Arsenal?
I think it's either Man United or Barcelona.
Okay. Well,
possibly PSG, but not too sure.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, the team that we've got left is Barcelona. And I bet a lot of people guessed that would be the case.
Okay.
Barcelona, let's look at what they've achieved. 4 European Cups. The most recent was in 2011. 22 league titles, the most recent was last year. And 26 domestic cups, the most recent 2012. The owners of Barcelona, again it's the socios. The president is Josep Maria Bartomeu. And the manager is Gerardo Martino. Their UEFA coefficient ranking. What do you think, Bernard?
I don't know the basis of the ranking. If it is, I don't know. If it's based on performance for the past 5-6 years, they're probably number one.
They are. They're number one. You're exactly right.
Okay.
And so they're the most successful according to UEFA rankings.
Okay.
Shall we look at the club?
Yes.
The club itself, well, Football Club Barcelona, FC Barcelona, was founded in 1899 by a combination of Swiss, English and Catalan footballers led by Joan Gamper. The club's motto is Més que un club, meaning more than a club. The team play their home games at the world-famous 100,000 capacity Nou Camp, which is the largest stadium in Europe.
Wow.
Barcelona are the most successful club in Spain with 83 official titles.
Okay, so let's talk about brand Barcelona.
Well, the brand, it speaks for itself. The largest combined following of 60.6 million followers on Facebook and Twitter. Barca's players have won a record number of Ballon d'Or, 10 in fact, and FIFA World Player of the Year awards they've won 7. In 2010 the club created history when 3 players who came through its youth academy, Messi, Iniesta and Xavi, were chosen as the 3 best players in the world at the FIFA Ballon d'Or. Yeah. So these 3 players came through the youth academy. In March 2013, Barcelona announced a 3-year shirt sponsorship extension with Qatar Airways worth €34.5 million a year.
So what's the leadership structure?
Well, the leadership, like their rivals in Madrid, Barcelona is not a limited company. So it's not possible to purchase shares again at this club, but only membership. These members are then referred to, as before, as socios. Under legislation passed by the Spanish government in 1990, Barcelona were not obliged to reconstitute themselves as a PLC and could continue to be owned by their members. Then they appoint a president via election. This president must hold a certain amount of personal wealth. The same as Real Madrid.
Okay.
Unlike Madrid, however, Barcelona's leadership model is based on the club's dignified philosophy. This started in 1978 under the leadership of Josep Luis Núñez, whose main objective was to develop Barca into a world-class club by giving it stability both on and off the pitch. On recommendation from Cruyff, that's Johan Cruyff,
the Dutch legend.
The Dutch legend, Núñez introduced La Masia as Barcelona's youth academy and invested a lot of money. His presidency was to last for 22 years, and it deeply affected the image of Barcelona as Núñez held to a strict policy regarding wages and discipline, letting players such as Diego Maradona, do you remember him? Romario and Ronaldo go rather than meeting their demands. A policy that is still prevalent today. So if players are demanding too much money, they can go.
Interesting.
Barcelona are also renowned for continuing their philosophy by employing ex-players into leadership roles who understand the club as a symbol of Catalan culture and Catalanism. These include recent head coaches Pep Guardiola and Tito Villanova, former Barcelona players.
So what's the vision?
Well, the vision for Barcelona is, number 1, win as many trophies as possible. Number 2, playing attractive football, and they certainly do that, don't they? Touch passing, back and two, back and two, back and two.
Tiki-taka.
Yeah. with as many players as possible being promoted from the youth system, so they believe strongly in talent management.
Interesting. You spoke about La Masia.
Yeah, La Masia is their academy. La Masia, it's their youth talent academy. The physical aspect is not so important compared with the ability to take decisions, to play the game, fast technique, capacity for anticipation. This is what they say, and this is how they train people at their academy. 8 of the Barcelona players who played in the 2011 Champions League final triumph came up through their academy.
8 of the players?
8 of the players, so that is success.
Wow. Talking about success, they've dominated the past decade quite seriously.
that they have. Their cabinets are full of trophies. Full of trophies. In fact, they have to extend their cabinets. There's that many trophies there. In 2009, Barcelona became the first football club to win 6 out of 6 competitions in a single year. Widely regarded as the sextuple. This included being the first Spanish team to win the treble and also winning the Spanish Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup in the following season. Wow. 2 seasons later, they nearly matched this feat by winning 5 out of 6 competitions, losing to Real Madrid in the final of the Copa del Rey in extra time. The team put together by Pep Guardiola conquered an amazing 14 trophies in 4 years and is considered by many to be the greatest football team of all time.
I'm sure we can't talk about that success without Lionel Messi, can we?
Lionel Messi. Well, what can you say about Lionel Messi? The football seems to be stuck to his boots by glue. He was born in Rosario, Santa Fe province, Argentina, and a product of La Masia.
Okay.
Lionel Messi is widely regarded as the greatest footballer of all time. Would you agree with that, Bernard?
That's debatable.
Okay.
Pele, Maradona.
Okay.
Maybe among the top 3, yes.
Yeah.
Of all time, not too sure.
Yeah. Messi is the first player in history to win 4 Ballon d'Or awards, all of which he won consecutively, 1 year after the other. He was also the first player to become top goal scorer in 4 consecutive Champions League campaigns. During the 2011-12 season, Messi set the European record for most goals scored in a season with 73.
Wow.
73 goals. In the same season, he set the goal-scoring record in a single La Liga season, scoring 50 goals.
That's interesting. So let's talk about their financial break success. I mean, if they are that successful on the pitch, are they the world's most financially sound club?
Well, if you look at their value speaks for itself. It's over 2 billion euros.
2 billion
2
euros.
billion euros, as indicated in the Forbes report last year. The revenue for last year, according to Forbes, was nearly 500 million euros, and the debt around about 122 million euros. Again, these were last year's figures. Profit last year was round about 32 million euros.
And I'm sure the breakdown of the revenue would show. Is it a skew towards?
Yeah, the breakdown of revenue, quite interesting. The average, remember, they have a ground capacity of nearly 100,000. The average league attendance at most matches, similar to Manchester United, 71,235. So match day accounts for 37% of their 107 million euros of their revenue. Broadcasting counts for 39%, 188 million euros, and the commercial side, 24%, 177 million euros.
I'm sure there's a difference in the model for Spain for TV ownership and Germany, but we wouldn't go there.
No.
So what I want to ask is, in terms of the 4 you've just discussed, who's the best? What is there a better model?
Well,
When you put everything together, financially, football, brand, and all the other elements.
You know, that's an interesting question, Bernard, and it'd be interesting to see what your listeners think on that one. But let's look at some statistics, because the statistics speak for themselves. Who is the best? Well, most European Cups, that's Real Madrid, they've won it 9 times. Most international trophies, AC Milan, 18. Highest UEFA coefficient rank, Barcelona are first. The most recent success, Bayern Munich in 2013 obtained the treble.
So what are you saying then?
Well, it's hard to establish which club is the best, as they're all competing on so many different fronts. In addition to the information I've just given you, who is worth the most? Well, Real Madrid are 2.6 billion euros. Who generates the most revenue? Real Madrid, 512 million euros. Who has the largest stadium? Barcelona, nearly 100,000. Who produces the most talent? Barcelona, from its academy, La Masia. Who plays the most attractive brand of football? Well, Barcelona. Or is it Barcelona? Who has the best player? Barcelona. Messi. Who has the most expensive player? Real Madrid. Gareth Bale, 100 million euros. And who has the most followers? Well, Real Madrid. An estimated nearly 300 million followers. So there's some statistics.
So what is the conclusion of the matter? In terms of leadership and business, what can we say finally?
Well, I think leadership, when we think of leadership, we think of the management of the club, the coaches, but that's not always the case. I think what's quite important in all these 4 clubs is that behind the scenes, there's been longevity. Whether it's socios, whether it's owned by the owners and not shares, or whether you're shareholders. I think the important thing is having people connected to the club for a long time behind the scenes, and I think that's the success of these clubs.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Michael Porter, for that exciting journey through the Big 4 in Europe. Michael Porter, our guest on the City Business Edition, an international management training development trainer who's consulted for all kinds of companies: Rolls-Royce, HSBC, BBC, Vodafone, Coca-Cola, and in Ghana, CFAO, Unibank, and others. I hope we get to talk again soon, Michael.
Thank you, Bernard. Goodbye to the listeners. Thank you.
City Business Edition was brought to you by Carl Bank, Bank on Our Service, and Airtel, My Paddies, My Network. The City Breakfast Show continues.